And today we're going to be talking with Aaliyah. By the way, welcome back to Histories in Motion. Aaliyah is someone who brings craft, culture, and creativity all together in such a beautiful way. And she's a small business owner who makes handmade, crocheted, and knitted pieces. She's also a proud first-generation American with roots in the island of Grenada. Aaliyah, thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
So my first question, I want to start with your business. I love that you create handmade pieces. What got you into crocheting and knitting? Was it something passed down to you, or did you pick it up on your own?
Well, before I picked it up, it was very prominent in my family on both sides. My grandmother knew how to do it. Some cousins knew how to do it. My mom knew how to do it. My aunt knew how to do it. But when I seen them do it, I was like, there's no possible way I could ever do it. Fast forward to 8th grade, I watched a video and I read an article. And that was because the TikTok videos kept popping up on my For You page of the crochet stuffed animals, the crochet clothes. And I'm like, well, I gotta learn how to do this. So I asked my mom to take me to Michael. She took me and I got the crochet hooks. Took me 2 days. I gave it a try. I gave up. And I put it down for about 2-3 months. And I picked it back up, and that's how I've been doing it ever since.
And clearly you're successful at that. So that, first of all, is so special. And there's something timeless to me about making things by hand, because I think it connects us to generations before us. You mentioned you're a first-generation American and your family is from Grenada. So how has that shaped how you see yourself or even how you create?
Well, I'm very proud of my heritage, especially because I'm a first-gen American. It definitely always gives me a sense of happiness and pride. And they always tell me, you have to learn this about Grenada. You have to know your history, because if you don't know your history, you can't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, especially with my craft, I tend to connect it back to the flag colors. And our flag colors are red, yellow, and green. So I tend to make bikinis or hats that represent that color. I think crochet is an activity where it could be artistic. So you could use any color and it could still come out beautiful. So I just like having that creative ability.
I love that. Are there parts of Grenadian culture that show up in your work, even in small ways?
I would say being able to connect with people who share a similar culture with me, and just being able to talk, I guess, what people call broken English, and not have to, I guess, not switch to the perfect American accent, but also be able to speak how I know, because that's what I've been surrounded by, from my mother, from my dad, from my grandmother, anybody. We don't speak perfect English, so being able to just talk where I feel most comfortable or what I know, and connect that to other people, it's nice.
Those layers of identity, like American, Grenadian, creative, I think that make your story really rich. So has there ever been a moment when sharing your work sparked a bigger conversation about your culture?
Yes, but not necessarily with crochet, because I never had it brought up or connected back to my culture. But I guess it connected back in the sense of people before me was doing it, and it's been a very important and very fun activity. But in other senses, there has been situations where I brought up my culture, or however I might present myself, or how I might say certain, I might not pronounce something correctly. It tends to spark conversations with people who just don't understand.
And what kind of reactions have you gotten from people who buy or see your work?
A lot of people are very amazed by it, especially like older adults in my school. They were just like, you're so young, how could you do this? How could you do that? You're so talented. And it's nice to get the compliments, but I'm like, anybody can do it. And anybody can. You just gotta take the time and learn it. And I just like making people happy with what I can make for them.
Aw.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your business has given you a platform to share more of who you are?
Absolutely. I feel like I've always been someone who's tried to fit in with the norms, but I feel like with crochet, I could express myself any which way I want to. There's no balance to it. You have that creative ability and that creative freedom to just change the limit. There's no balance for how you can crochet or what can you do with it or what you cannot. I've always found myself trying to fit in, but as I picked up crochet, I find myself being more confident within myself and what I produce.
That's very powerful, first of all. And sometimes the smallest things like a scarf or a stitch, I feel like they can open up space for a lot, like much bigger stories.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up, I'd love to ask, are there any creators, cultural traditions, or even songs, books, or people that you'd recommend to anyone who wants to better understand Grenada and its influence?
There's a podcast. I don't remember the name straight off my head, but it has something to do with our Prime Minister, Maurice Bishop, who was our second prime minister of Grenada, and he was a very important man. He was a revolutionary, and he laid down the groundwork as to what Grenada is today. I recommend that a lot of people look into Grenadian history because it's not that much talked about, but it's so foundational and so important. And I blame the education system for that because they only touch on certain islands and certain countries, but the countries that they need to touch on, they don't touch on it. So I feel like if people get the time, they should endorse themselves in Grenadian history. And I also recommend that they should be open to having different views on, I guess what they would say, third world countries or countries that just aren't American, and understand that there's a history and a sad history behind most of the islands, including Grenada, because of the higher ups. And whether that be the British or the French, there has been a lot of negative history that goes into that. So I recommend a lot of people educate themselves on that.
Definitely. Is there anyone in your family who inspires you, especially in your work? I know you said you learned from your family.
I would say, well, first my mom, because when I first got it, I was like, I cannot do this. And she picked it up and she was just going at it. And I'm like, well, that's you. Of course you're going to know how to do it. I don't know how to do this. I'm never going to figure it out. And she's like, you would never figure out anything if you don't keep trying. And I figured it out. So thanks to her, I know how to do it. And also, I would say my cousins, who is a twin, because she makes such amazing bathing suits and bikinis, and she's just so creative with it. It inspires me to just challenge myself, push the limit. Like, you can do it. It's going to take a while because crochet does take long, but you could get it done.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something special, something from Grenadian culture that you wish more people knew about, like a specific thing?
I would wish that people would understand the jab more. The jab, essentially, if you don't know, it's a very important figure in the carnival aspect. There's guys and well as women who cover themselves in black oil, which is made from old engine oil, and they wear helmets and they put cow horns on them. And the whole point behind the jab is when we got emancipation, it was to mock our colonizers, which were the French and the British, and it derived from the French word which meant the devil. I can't pronounce the French word, so I'm not going to say it, but it meant the devil. It's a mockery of them, and I think it's so powerful because we got emancipation years ago, and we're going to continue to celebrate that through our joy. It's like Black joy. And I'm so happy that they enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Aaliyah. I loved hearing your story from Brooklyn and Long Island to your roots in Grenada, and all the creativity you bring into the world through your hands and heart. So we'll be cheering you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.